Welcome to my new home for the next 48 hours or so. I'm in a small village called Ba Ta Song Yang. It's about 140 kilometers north of Mae, and I just rode my scooter up here today. I arrived around 12:30. I'd arranged to meet the management, the owners of this bungalow here, and about an hour later they came and let me in. I paid for 2 nights, and for the last few minutes I've been settling in, getting to know my new place. Yeah, it's a bit unusual. It's a bit of a rustic place. I'll spin the camera around a little bit and show you where I am. I'm sitting on the bed, which is just sort of a thin mattress on the floor. Got some pillows here, and you can see kind of a exposed wood wall behind me. And there are wooden walls all around. You can see sort of shingles or wooden slats there. There's the front window, the door. And this amused me when I first moved in, those 4 sheets of paper. I Google translated them, and they are a lot of rules for this place. It basically outlines everything you can't do in this room, and everything that if you do, they will charge you for whatever it is that you do. So there's a lot of rules over there. So you don't even have to bring a book. You can just read those, and that's just about a book over there. One nice thing about this place is they do supply a kettle. This kettle and this coffee, instant coffee, and a couple of Hershey rolled chocolate cakes were waiting for me when I arrived, and I poured some water in there. It was about half full of water when I showed up, but it was full of ants. The whole thing was just like covered in a sea of dead ants floating on top of the water. So we had to get rid of that and refill it with fresh water. I think there are going to be a lot of mosquitoes in here at night, so it's nice that they have a pretty nice mosquito net up there. That is going to come in very handy, I think. This bungalow costs 400 baht per night. I think that's about $12 US, or like $15 Canadian, something like that. And as far as I'm aware, they're not listed online anywhere. I'll put in the sign for the place, and you can see their phone number on their sign. That's a new sign, actually. I came through this town on a previous trip that I took on the scooter, and I saw this place just by accident, and I couldn't find the owners. I wanted to stay here back then, but I couldn't track down the owners. I couldn't track down management. I asked all the local people around here. I went wandering around. There's a military sort of checkpoint over there. I spoke to the soldiers, do you know about those bungalows, how I can arrange to stay? Then I couldn't track anybody down, and I couldn't make a phone call back then. So I just continued on up the highway, and I never stayed here. But the wife of a friend of mine who speaks Thai helped me out this time, and she called ahead and arranged for me to stay here for 2 nights, and then the owners came out and met me, when I showed up. And the advantage to this place, I guess, is not so much the bungalow. As you can see, it's pretty rustic. There's no air conditioning. There's no furniture. There's no chair, no table. I'm basically just sitting on the floor. And it's extremely hot inside here right now. It's midday, and the sun is beating down on the roof up there, and it's quite hot inside here. So there's nothing about this bungalow that would tell you that you should stay here. But what makes this place special is that it's the only accommodation around here for many miles, and it's on the outskirts of the village, Panasonic, that I mentioned. And you can't really see the village from here. I will be heading in there probably tomorrow. I don't think I'll be going in today, but it has a beautiful setting on the river, surrounded by mountains. And out here, the bungalows are on the outskirts of the city in kind of a farming district. So here's the setting for this place. That's the view from my balcony, and the village is right there, basically. That mountain that you see, I believe those are in Myanmar. So you cross the river, and then you're in Myanmar, because Myanmar is right over there. We're that close to the border. But as you can see, it's a very beautiful setting for this bungalow. I put water in the kettle, and I think it's finally come to a boil, so I'm going to pour myself a cup of coffee and have a chocolate cake, and I'll check back in just a second once my coffee is ready. I don't really have much more than that to say right now. I just wanted to fire up the camera once more to document my first cup of coffee here at the bungalow. And I'm going to try one of these chocolate cakes. I was just writing to someone the other day about how I still have fond memories of this one guest house in the town near Dwa Intanon, because when I checked into my room at that guest house, I found a kettle and coffee and tea and cups, all the things you'd expect, but they also had a couple of small cakes, and I thought that was such a nice touch. I just remembered it as a little piece of, customer service, and it made me feel so much better about that guest house that they offered just that little bit extra, because I really was hungry when I arrived, and having one of those cakes was really nice. So I was just thinking about that and just writing about it. So it's interesting that this place also has little cakes. And I think all the bungalows are going to be full tonight, because when I first showed up, I was the only one here. There wasn't anyone else, and I went walking up and down to look at all the bungalows, and I noticed that all of them have a display of coffee, cakes, and water, and the kettle outside the door. So I think they're all prepared for guests to arrive tonight. Anyway, this is the Furche roll. Furche roll chocolate. Quite small. This will be very nice. It's what you'd expect, right? But I like it. I mean, I like this idea of giving your guests a little surprise when they show up. I've had my coffee and cake, and I think I'm going to relax for a little while during the worst part of the hot afternoon, and I'll come back out when it's cooled down. But while the sun is still here, I thought I'd show you a little bit more of what this bungalow looks like and the setting. But yeah, there's no furniture on the inside, but here you do get benches, a lot of benches actually, a big wide one on two sides. It's raised up on a little bit of a hill, which is nice, because then it gives you a little bit of a raised view, of the countryside out there. When I came through here the first time, I'm not quite sure what crop was growing in that field, but I don't think it was corn, it was something else, and there were a lot of people in there doing something. I can't remember whether they were harvesting or burning or planting. Anyway, there was a lot of people working in the fields. Right now, there's nobody out there, but it looks like they've planted corn. Got a nice stream running by, so they have a lot of water they can use to irrigate these fields. And yeah, there's my bungalow right there. I've noticed a lot of people, like farmers, walking back and forth along this trail in front of the bungalows. So I think there's quite a few houses off in this direction, farms and villages, places like that. This is the end of the bungalow property, and then there's some houses and some farms out in that direction. So, as you can see, really nice setting. the town itself made such a big impression on me when I came through on my first trip up this highway that I really did want to stay here, and I've been thinking about it ever since, which is why basically I ended up back here again. And that's it for now. Check in with you later. Good morning. It's about 7 o'clock in the morning, a very misty morning here, and I'm in a small village called Ban Ta Song Yang. I was wondering whether I'd get that right. I can never come up with that name or not. If you look on Google Maps, I'll put up a little picture from Google Maps here. There's a town, like a small city called Ta Song Yang. But if you go 50 kilometers north of that town, you get to the village of the same name. And the way I understand it, Ban means village. So that's Ta Song Yang. And I think there's even a district here called Ta Song Yang. And then this is the village Ta Song Yang. So this is Ban Ta Song Yang. That's my home behind me right there, that bungalow on the hill. But anyway, what I'm going to do right now is I want to climb up one of these small hills. The idea when I made this plan was that I was going to get a beautiful view out over the village from up on top of this little hill. I believe it's this one right here. And there's a temple at the very top. But it looks like even if I go up there now, I'm not going to see very much for a while, but maybe the mist will burn off. So I'm going to get on the scooter, ride into town, try to figure out how to get to the top of that hill. I went riding around the village yesterday, trying to find the access road to the top of that hill, the trail, however you get up there, either driving or hiking, and I couldn't find it. I saw signs out on the highway for this temple, or a temple in this area, so there's quite a well-known temple here. I don't know if it's that one or not, but other than the signs, I couldn't track anything down. But I did see one footpath that seemed to be heading up. So I'm going to go there and then start climbing up that footpath and see if that will get me to the top. Yeah, I better get a move on. Yeah, the sky is starting to lighten up a bit. A little bit of blue in that sky right now. So yeah, I'm going to zoom that way, climb up to the top there. Okay, here we go. Mist is still up. Interestingly enough, I was roaming around YouTube last night and I stumbled across a video from a young YouTuber from Germany. This guy, he calls himself Ken Abroad. He's not in Thailand anymore, I don't think. I think he's moved on to Sri Lanka. But he actually shot a video here. I don't think he ever mentioned the name of the place, but he came here as well as he was roaming around northern Thailand. And it turns out he stayed in exactly the same bungalow. So that's mine right there on the right. And Ken stayed there as well. And when he was here, the place looked very, very different. This field, as I mentioned, these are all rice fields. And Ken was here during the rainy season, and that was when these fields were full of rice. And he has a drone, so he got some amazing drone shots of this region, of this area around the bungalow and around Ban Ta Song Yang. So I'll put a link to his video in the description. You should check out the drone shots that he got from out here. Really nice. His story was kind of funny because I don't know how exactly, but he was near this village, and I guess he knew about the village and he knew about those bungalows. I'm not sure how he found out about them, but he came at them from a different direction. I'm gonna have to spin the scooter around again. But I think he kind of was up on the highway. So the highway is up above this hill range that I'm looking at where the bungalows are. And I think he was up there somewhere trying to get to these bungalows. And he was asking people there, you know, do you know where these bungalows are? There's a hotel here. Can you help me? And these people took him down that trail. You can just make out a little trail on coming down the hillside. And the villager says, "Oh yeah, there are bungalows here. I can show you where they are." And they took him down that trail, and they brought him through basically fields and going over ditches. He had to take off his shoes and his socks because he was wading through muddy water to get to the bungalows. And he was thinking, man, I am in the middle of nowhere. And so he had quite an adventure just getting to the place. And then later on, he found out that there's actually a road, the road that I'm riding down right now. So he could have just, the villagers could have just hopped on their scooter and driven him around this short section of road and taken him right to the front door. But instead, they took him on an overland journey through the mud and through the water getting up to his knees. That was kind of funny. Oh, yeah, these fields have been completely harvested. Nothing has been planted here. There's nothing growing. Yeah, since I've been awake this morning, I've seen a lot of farmers coming from those little houses on the hill and walking towards these fields. Everybody's going to work for the day. The sky is starting to get a bit lighter off to the left. Because this whole area borders on Myanmar, there's a fair amount of security on the highway. So you pass through a lot of checkpoints as you're going up and down this road. And even to go from these bungalows into the town, oh, there's the sign, Ba Ta Song Yang. You have to go through another checkpoint. This one is a police checkpoint, Mae Moi Police. So you have to go through this checkpoint to go to the village. There's an entrance to the village right on my right there. But to go where I want to go, I think I have to go to this other entrance. It's off in this direction. I don't know if it's in the frame of the camera, but I can angle it upwards just to make sure. But that's where I want to go, just ahead. There's a small hill there, and there's a pagoda at the very top. But I think my best chance is up ahead here on the right. I think there's a stairway, a path that goes up to the top. See, and I just passed a road here. Just gonna go down this road quickly to see, sort of heading towards the back side of this hill. I'm curious where it goes. Huh, looks like it goes up and down. So, well, let's follow it down. Oh, okay. I thought maybe it would lead up into that hill, but it doesn't seem to do that. Just taking us on a tour of some of the village. wondering, maybe there's access on this side as well. Oh, okay. Starting to go back up again on this side. I can see the hill, it's right on my left. But I don't seem to be heading towards any kind of a path or a way to get to the top. Ah, interesting road though. I'd been all over this village already by scooter, but I hadn't seen this area. Huh, no idea. Going around the hill in a 360-degree circle, but making no progress towards the top. Okay, so we went all the way around in a complete circle and we're right back to where I started. So I didn't see any way to go up, so I think it has to be over here. These are the stairs that I spotted yesterday. Just ahead of me there, and if I know my temples, those look like temple stairs. All right, that was a lot of preparation, a lot of planning, a lot of scouting, and so after all that, I hope that these are the actual stairs leading to the top. And if they aren't, I couldn't tell you how you get up there. As I was going around in a circle, I noticed that on one side, very steep cliff going up and down, and it'd be very unlikely that you could get up from that side. And I saw no roads or pathways anywhere else. Uh-oh. But these steps seem to be going straight to a house. Maybe we end up circling around the house. Yeah, here's the house. Oh. Just saw a man here, and oh, okay, we're definitely on the right track. I sort of asked him with sign language, Sawasdee krap, if it's possible to go up through here, and he seemed to indicate that I could. There's even a road going in that direction. There are stairs over here. Some people at a house there saw me hesitating which way to go, and they're indicating that I should go this way. Whole bunch of spirit houses here. Two of them over there, and two of them over here. I don't know anything about this temple. I don't know if it has special history or any meaning for this area. But just from looking at it from a distance, it just seemed like it might give nice views of the village. These are big steps. You have to climb up like 2 feet for every every step. I don't know if this temple is any kind of a tourist attraction or not, or is it just for local people. Getting a bit higher. The sun has beat me though. The sun is already over the hills. This is definitely not a climb I'd want to do for several hours. Going straight up. It's very slippery. A lot of loose rocks. But it's not that far to get to the top of this hill. And so far I haven't seen any place where I could have gone wrong. There's no forks in the trail yet. At least I haven't seen any. Yeah, it's super steep. Oh. Starting to think this can't be the temple. For like I said, there's big signs on the highway, and the signs are saying, you know, famous temple here, turn here. But it can't be this one because not a lot of people would be making this climb. If it was a well-known attraction, there'd be a much nicer set of stairs leading up to the top. And I don't think any monks will be living up here. I think it's too steep a climb. They'd have a hard time getting up and down and getting food and supplies up there. Slowly making my way up. There's some of the village right down below. And there's the trail up ahead of me. I was just thinking again about Ken Abroad in his video, because he had a drone. And I mean, the main reason I would do a climb like this, of course, is to get up high and get a sort of an aerial view of the setting. But if I had a drone, I could just send up the drone and you don't have to do any climbing yourself. But hey, I don't mind this. Yeah, I think in his video, Ken, he was talking about how small this place is. I'm hesitating because it's a bit slippery here. I'm gonna have to turn off the camera just for a second to make it up this little section. There, I navigated that part. Yeah, I was just saying, Ken was talking about how small the village was, and he said, you know, there'd be like 100 people here, but it's way bigger than that. 2,000 or 3,000 at least, I would say. So it's 10 or 20 times that size, but maybe when we get up to the top, we can get a better sense of how large this place is, how many people live here. Whew. Just thinking, coming down is going to be a challenge, probably more of a challenge than going up. Because as you go downhill, of course, your feet want to slide out from under you. Anyway, I'm going to put the camera away for the rest of this climb. It's very steep and some very slippery rocks. Yeah, they got a lot of leaves on the ground, and the leaves are damp with the morning mist, and they're very slippery. So I need my hands free. I haven't reached the top yet. It's a little bit further ahead. But I reached a spot on the trail where there's a break, an opening in the trees. So I'm getting my first view that I came up here to get. Very nice. So there's the village of Ban Ta Song Yang, and that's the river down there. Separates Thailand from Myanmar. Mist is still flowing through the valleys to an extent. And on my first visit here, I went down to the river in a few spots. There's an official pier, and I think the official pier is right down there at the river shore. And then there's another dock that I know about right there. And kind of a small harbor there that the river has carved. I was down there yesterday and I saw quite a few boats going back and forth with loads of people. So you still get a little bit of informal cross-border traffic all up and down this river. From here, yeah, I can see the section of the community down by the river. And I think there's quite a bit more of it around us in a circle all around this hill. So you can kind of judge the population size from that. Despite how beautiful this place is, it hasn't really developed as an attraction, I don't think, which is kind of surprising because I guess we're not right on the Mae Hong Son Loop. In order to ride past this place, you would have to come down on the loop to Mae Saring, or Mae Sariang. I still don't know how to pronounce the name of that town. But at Mae Saring, you either turn north to go to Mae Hong Son or northeast in the other direction to go to Chiang Mai. In order to come here, you'd have to continue down south towards Mae Sot. But it's still within sort of what I think of as the area of the Mae Hong Son Loop. A lot of people do start the loop from Mae Sot, Tak City to Mae Sot, a very beautiful highway. And then from Mae Sot up to here is very beautiful. And then you can continue to the north, which is what I did last time. And if you did that, it takes you right past this town. And I guess that's why the bungalows exist. But in terms of like tourism and then tourist facilities, that's about it. Because I mentioned I'm probably going to go back to my bungalow to have a cup of coffee because there's nothing really down there. I found one very small restaurant. I think it's the same restaurant that Ken Abroad went to. I think he ended up there because it's one of the few choices available in the town. That's why I ended up there. I tried to find a different restaurant, but I couldn't find anything. So I ended up back at the same place as Ken. And in terms of the menu, after we discussed all the things they couldn't make for me, they finally said, well, we can make fried rice. And that seemed to be pretty much all they could make. And I'm fine with that. So I says, okay, some chicken fried rice with a fried egg. And that's what I had for dinner. But I didn't see any kind of a coffee shop or anything like that that would have naturally developed if a lot of tourists were going through. But, there's a boat on the river down there right now. Anyway. Enough babbling. There's the rest of the hill. I still have to get to the top. I made it to the top. It wasn't easy. So as always, my advice is, yeah, definitely, if you're in town, if you're in Ban Ta Song Yang, make the effort to come up here, but don't do it the way I did it. All I have with me are sandals. I don't have I don't have running shoes or hiking boots or anything like that. So I just came up here in sandals, and that's a bit of a challenge. You've got to go slow. Be sure of your footing. And I'm usually okay with that. I mean, local people do climbs like this constantly in flip-flops, right? Flip-flops and bare feet. So sandals can get the job done, but it's not the best idea. And here's the Chedi at the very top. And I could see it at night. I think I could see it at night, so I think that light up at the top is working. And there's a bell over here. A bell and then a piece of wood to sound it. A small shrine here with Some offerings of drinks and incense and candles that people have lit. You can't see very much right now in this direction where the sun is coming up. It's still filled with mist. But I believe my bungalow is behind these this bamboo cluster over there. Maybe I can find another vantage point in a few minutes if it becomes clear. And there's the highway down there. So that's the main highway heading to the north and to the south. It's not a surprise that the jetty up here could use some maintenance. Down here at the bottom, you know, the mortar is flaking off, but my overall thought is what a challenge it would be. I think this every time I climb up to one of these temples, is what a challenge it would be to build this place in the first place. That climb that I just did, they would have to make that same climb hundreds of times, bringing up cement, bricks, wiring, you know, everything else that would be required to build this up here. It would not be an easy job. And then just the landscaping up here to build this platform, put down all the stone. Yeah, I can't imagine. And there's another platform over there. I'm going to be climbing over there next. But even all this rock has been picked up from somewhere and piled up here as part of the foundation. I'm just going to climb up here and see if I can get a view of the river down below. So this is a pleasant surprise. It's completely clear on this side. So this is where you would come to get the clear view that I was hoping for. I've been up here at the top of the hill for a while now. I set up the GoPro to shoot a little bit of a time lapse. At that time there was some cloud moving across the hills and across the river, but not a lot, so I don't know how exciting the time lapse is, but it's been nice sitting up here waiting for the sun to get higher in the sky and light up the town below. Still a little bit hazy though. It's not quite as clear as I thought it would be. But there you can see the river snaking off towards the south. And the town below us. When I was looking around yesterday, I also had my eye on this pagoda over here at the top of that mountain there, or that hill. And I thought I could go there, but then I realized that's on the other side of the river. So that's in Myanmar. So I can't climb up there. So for now, I'm turning around, heading back down. I'm going to say goodbye to the view of the town from up here. Yeah, you can see just how steep it is down there. It's straight down, and that's where the trail goes, actually, down in that direction somehow. I think the very first viewpoint that I stopped at was right here. There's a spot on the other side of those trees where you can get a clear view of the town, of the village. Yeah, you have to be careful of your footing up here because this rock is very sharp. Oh yeah, I was wondering whether it would become clearer over here. Yeah, it's a little bit clear with the sun a bit higher, but not sure if I can make out where my bungalows are. It's down there somewhere. I've made it down out of the rockiest sections leading from the top. But I think this section ahead of me is the trickier, actually, because it's more of a muddy trail with all the leaves sitting on top of the trail. And it's really quite steep. So you could go, if you lose your footing, you can go tobogganing down this trail. Very slippery. So I have to be quite careful here. At least with the rocks, you can actually get handholds. You know, you can actually bend down and grab hold of some of the rocks and steady yourself that way. But here, there isn't really anything to hold on to. Safest thing is to look for any rocks poking through the leaves and step on those. And that gives you your most secure footing. I'm almost down at the bottom. I went a lot faster than I thought. It seemed seemed higher when I went up. Coming down, whoa, going down. Oh, yikes! Went. Oh, gosh. Went a lot faster. It almost went very fast there. I don't know what happened. My foot got caught on something there, and I couldn't shake it free. Hey, yeah, it's still I'm almost at the bottom, but it's still pretty steep. Yeah, I don't know what hooked my foot there. Branch or a root or something. Whoa, slippery, like I said. There's a lot of loose rocks here at the bottom. And here are the steps at the very beginning. Like I said, they're quite high. That one's 1.5 feet maybe. And there we are at the bottom. Oh, I'm not at my scooter yet, but more or less at the bottom. All the people that were at this house right here, when I started climbing up, they pointed out the right way to go. They're not there anymore. I guess they've all gone to work. It's quite a large house over there, or whatever that is. Yeah, quite a big balcony there. I wonder if this is some kind of a communal building. I thought this was a house when I first came by this morning, but as you can see, there's no enclosure. I mean, it's just 3 walls and a roof. And then there's some public bathrooms down there too. So maybe this, I'm having trouble speaking because I've got a ton of rocks in between my feet and my sandals, and I'm trying to get rid of them while bouncing around on one foot. But yeah, it looks like it's some sort of a community building, perhaps connected with the shrine up at the top. Yeah, it's a little shrine or a temple of its own. I was planning on, after coming down from the top, I was going to go back to my bungalow, fire up the kettle and have a cup of coffee and kind of reset before going back out into the village. But I don't know, now that I'm out here, I think I'm going to head down to the river, walk around a little bit, and yeah, just do a little bit of exploring. I'll take my scooter down to near the river, and then I'll get off and walk down to the riverbank. I came down here yesterday and there were soldiers there, and I'm not sure they'll let me go down to the river. They probably won't be happy if they see the camera, so I'll probably put the camera away as I walk past them, and then when I get down to the river, I'll take the GoPro back out. It's probably the wisest way to go. And who knows, maybe I can find a cup of coffee down here in town somewhere. Back at the beginning, there's my scooter waiting patiently for me. Thought I'd stop here for just a second because I can look back on that hill. That's where I was, up at the top there. You can see the gold shining off the pagoda up at the very top. And the trail coming down is right on, just to the left of the pagoda, down the steepest section actually. So yeah, quite interesting little hike. I enjoyed that. And that one across the river looks to be quite a bit higher, in fact. But as I pointed out, that one's in Myanmar, so I can't go there. And the road down to the river is over there. And I'm going to put my GoPro away right now before I get there and the soldiers see me. Down by the river, there was one soldier up at the top, and he was relaxing in a hammock, and he saw me go by to come down here and was fine with it. Of course, I wasn't holding a camera in my hands at the time. But yeah, I'm down here. It's a beautiful spot here. Really nice. You can see the river snaking along. And here the river has carved out kind of a small harbor. So a lot of boats pull up on the shore here, and they make trips up and down the river, doing whatever it is they do. And I noticed yesterday there's a road going alongside the river in that direction. It looked quite interesting. So I think I'm going to walk along there, and that it might take me down to that beach area over there. I'm walking down that road now, the one that goes alongside the river. I just left my scooter down by the riverbank. Some interesting houses all along here. Kind of a traditional construction built up on stilts. Because I think in the rainy season, get a lot of water here. Right now we're still more or less in the dry season, I guess. Quite hot, actually, which is surprising because it was really cold last night. But I think in terms of altitude, I don't know, maybe 200 meters above sea level up here, I think. But yeah, it's pretty low, so it gets quite warm during the day when the sun comes out. Actually, I came down here yesterday on my scooter, and I just got as far as where I am right now, because the pavement ends here and then it just turns into a trail. So that's why I decided to come back on foot and just go for a walk. Yeah, right here the pavement ends. Turns into a trail, and you've got some interesting houses down here too. Oh, and this looks like the trail that I was looking for. Goes down to the shore of the river. Nice view down here by the river. And the main channel goes through there. So this is the full river right here, flowing up, and then the water cuts through that narrow gap over there and continues. And this section over here is kind of a still water, a harbor area. That's the harbor there where that boat is coming out. And just as I was leaving, a farmer came up there with a goat that was protesting very loudly. Did not want to go wherever that farmer was bringing it. And then they put it down on the ground on its side and tied up its legs. And a bunch of men were standing around talking about it. And I think they were getting it ready to put on a boat and bring it across to Myanmar or some other village up or down river to sell it. And I'm just wondering whether that poor goat is on this boat right now. The one that's coming towards us. There's another boat heading downriver. Let's see where that boat goes. I don't see a goat. Could be down on the bottom of the boat, I guess, but I don't think so. And this guy is heading off somewhere. That boat that just went by, it's right over there on the far left. It's pulling over to the shore on the Myanmar side of the river. And I think this guy is, he actually, when he saw that other guy on the boat, I think he wanted to talk to him. So he ran down here and got in his boat to go catch up with him. Yeah, boats are pretty important for the life of this town. I don't know how far this trail in this section of town goes, but let's walk to the end and see what happens. Just as I was leaving the shore, an entire family showed up. Father, mother, a whole bunch of children, and a dog. And they seemed to be looking for a boat to take them across the river. Yeah, really interesting little homes here. A lot of outdoor space on balconies. Looks like this guy, he went across to pick up some people and he's bringing them back. I don't know what the nearest towns are on the Myanmar side, so I assume they're getting in some sort of bus or truck on the other side and then going by road to go somewhere into the interior, but I haven't looked at the map to see what's over there. Last time I was here, I was trying to figure out where the roads could go. There seems to be an opening over there through the cliffs, but I think I didn't see it. I think there is a road heading in that direction, but people don't seem to go there. They all seem to be heading in this direction. And I think there's a gap through the cliffs over there as well, right where it's going down. There's an opening that goes inland, so I think that's where everyone is heading, but I'm just guessing, of course. There's some of the people that came down. I thought they were all part of the same family, but apparently they're all taking different boats. As always, I have a million questions that will never get answered, like where exactly they're going, why they're crossing the river, and how much it costs to take one of the boats. You know, what's the price for going across? Thank you. ขอบคุณครับ I just picked up some chicken and rice for my lunch, and I know there's a shop down the main street here where they sell little cartons of cold milk. I'll add that milk to my rice and chicken, and that will be my lunch. I think I'm just going to take it back to the bungalow. I think that is something else about the rhythm of these towns, because when I arrived here yesterday, it was later in the day, you know, in the afternoon, and I rode around looking for something to eat, but I couldn't really find anything. The streets were empty, everything was closed. and I just found one restaurant where I could get fried rice. But since I rode into town this morning, I'm seeing little food stalls, food shops everywhere. And I think that's kind of the rhythm where during the night, that woman where I bought the chicken, she'd be preparing the chicken for the next day. And in the morning, she sets out everything she has for sale in the morning, and everybody comes by, snaps it all up. And by the afternoon, it's gone. And there's no more for sale. So me, with the rhythm of my day, I'm usually looking for food in the afternoon. But it seems like that's the wrong time to be doing it. All the activity in a village like this takes place in the morning. And then everything shuts down in the afternoon. So my timing is completely off. And tomorrow my plan is to continue riding to the north. So I'm going to end the day, it's about 100 kilometers to the north, the town of Mae Sariang, or Mae Sariang. And to do that, I need to get some gas. I've learned it's a good idea to always fill up when you get the chance. Just top up the tank. Even if you don't absolutely need to, you might as well. Just to make sure you don't run out in the middle of nowhere. Sawasdee krap. And that's a pretty good indication of why you should fill up all the time, because when I was looking at my gas gauge, it seemed like I had plenty of gas, like I'd hardly used up any at all. But the tank still took 80 baht worth of gas, which is quite a bit. So yeah, I filled it up a lot. And now I feel better about my trip tomorrow. I won't be running out of gas anywhere. And here's the police checkpoint. Again. I have to go through that every time I leave the bungalow and go into town, which always feels a bit weird. Of course, a lot of these checkpoints are designed as sort of a border crossing checkpoints by the border patrol, just looking for people who may have come from Myanmar without the proper visas or permits or whatever. And here we are, almost back at my home, my temporary home. I was thinking about staying for another night or two. I could easily hang out in this little place. It's quite an enjoyable village. But I don't know. And there's the view now from my bungalow, now that the sun is a bit higher in the sky. You get a better view of what it's like. And just there on the left of the screen, if you look carefully, you can make out a hill with a gold pagoda on the very top. And that's where I was this morning. You can see it clearly now. Kind of a combination breakfast lunchtime. Very simple. I just got some fried chicken from that roadside stall, and you can always pick up sticky rice in a little bag. I'm always very excited about that. It's always so good. And I got some milk from a little store there. It's refrigerated, so nice and cold.